Welcome, everyone. My name is David Young, founder of Drone Launch Academy. Appreciate you guys being here with us this evening for what is a night of 3 trainings. We're going to make them pretty quick and bite-sized. I know it's a little later, 8:30 p.m. Eastern time. Let me know in the chat, as always, where you guys are coming to us from. And let me know if you are your experience with drone launch. If you've taken, I'm gonna turn the lights up here a little bit. There we go. If you've taken some courses, this is your first time being on something with us, enjoying the night, doing some training and some learning, let us know where you're at. I always like to change up the drink situation a little bit. Today, rocking my Teachable mug they gave me for free, and I have a nice little vanilla latte here that I just made right before I got over here. Also, something I am thoroughly enjoying is I got one of these Woodwick candle bad boys right here. Woo! I'm not sure if you guys can hear that little crack sizzle. Makes for a very nice environment. I got the Fraser fir scents. It's like Christmas in here. So I got my own little campfire set up over here. Looking to settle in with you all tonight. All right. Sweet. Maryland, New Jersey, New York City, Columbia, South Carolina. Someone said Freakville. Corey clicks. Texas, New Hampshire. All right. You still live in Plastow. How far away are you from Plastow? If you know where that is, Southeast New Hampshire. Can you guys all hear me and see me? I assume. Sweet. All right. Nobody, you can't see me. Hopefully people can see me. Let me know if you can see me. I got a couple reports of not being able to see me. Tonight, let me tell you what our lineup is. So we have 3 short trainings, sort of bite size. Like usually our mini courses and our workshops are like small courses. This is going to be even like a smaller version of that to kind of give you a taste. So there's going to be 3. There's going to be me. I'm going to teach for 10 minutes about utilizing AI for your drone business, specifically Chat GPT. Second, we're going to have Michael Lilly talking about progression shots with your drone and when to use that and how to use that. And then third, we're going to talk about Derek Cameron. He's going to come on and talk about intelligent flight modes with your drone. And I actually just watched that entire workshop, Derek, and I learned a lot. I was like, oh, I've never used a bunch of these flight modes. So it was nice to see that. It was fun. All right. So you guys are saying a little laggy. Video quality is potato. Oh, sorry. I'm going back to this. Atkinson. So close. Right. I lived there till I was like 12. So I got a lot of good memories there. Yeah, it says heavy lag. I don't know. I'll try to see what that is on mine, or I'll test my feed later, but I think it's been good on my end. So hopefully it clears up for y'all. Maybe hit refresh. And this is streaming on YouTube Live, so you should be able to go back and watch it there later too if you want. All right. Well, let me share my screen here. I'm going to introduce our other instructors as well. And then we'll get into my stuff. And then also, if you haven't seen, we're doing some stuff. If you're a part of our email list, we have a bunch of workshops that we've been, and mini courses that we've been putting together over the year. I think we're up to like 19 of them now. And they're all inside of our Drone Launch Connect community, which is like our private community where you can get a bunch of other stuff. So you get access to all these workshops. So we're doing a deal right now where you can get it all for like $1 for 30 days if you want to try it out. So we'll talk about that at the end. But some of these workshops are included in there. We should be about an hour on here. All right, I'm going to share my, hopefully you can see this. I'm getting some signs of poor quality. Let me know if you see this. Video quality, 10 pi. You guys let me know if you can see this. I'm going to do a little speed test here. All right, everybody see it? Super grainy. Oh, I'm so sorry. See here, you gotta sync. This is a bummer. All right. Well, we'll try to press forward. My internet seems to be okay-ish. They were doing some work on the internet here yesterday, so hopefully it's not screwed up for you guys. All right. So I'm David Young, founder of Drone Launch. I'm going to do the AI one. I'm going to bring on Michael Lilly here. Michael.
It would help if I unmuted my microphone. So I can't top the latte, but what I do have is this lovely Drone Launch Connect mug. Oh, there it is.
Mm, beautiful. Well, Michael, why don't you give us a little intro about yourself and tell us kind of yeah, your background with drones and why you're qualified to talk about progression shots.
Why am I qualified? I fly a drone for a $200 million a year construction company, and all I do is progression shots. I think that qualifies me. Yes, I
Sounds
think
good.
that would be. And I also have a side business where I do similar things. I've been known to count buffalo, just simple mapping projects. Don't do much on the creative side. You're not going to see me being a YouTube star with my videos because I'm more of a data guy. That's what I enjoy about it is helping people with numbers, like David used to do. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
so that's where I come from. I'm a numbers guy, sort of. I love the data. That's what I love. I love the
great.
data. So
Cool. Sounds good. All right, I'm bringing Derek on. Mr. Derek Cameron, thank you for joining us. Derek taught our Intelligent Flight Modes mini course and workshop. And Derek, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background with drones and kind of what you've been up to? And I think you're on mute too, just FYI. Derek, you're currently muted.
Let's try
There
that
you go.
again. And on this
There you go.
mic, Dave? Am I on this
Yeah,
one?
you're good.
All right,
Yep.
cool. Hey, everybody. Yeah, I've actually a drone launch alumnus. I've done the 107 course. I've done the roof. I've done the roofing course, the roof measurement course, or roof inspection course, and the drone 1K course. And I picked up Alex's course too on cinematic photography. So I am well versed in the drone launch archives or the drone launch catalog. So I was excited to be able to do the intelligent flight modes workshop for you guys. So I've been at this for the last 4 years. I got my 107 back in 2019, and I've been flying drones for the last 4 years. Most of my work right now is on the creative side, and I do mix in some engineering, and I'm also do solar surveys for a company up in Canada. So I'll do data capture for them using the drone. So since teaching this course, though, I've actually gone back and started hitting the intelligent flight modes a lot more, forgetting how incredibly useful they all are and just how much easier it makes the job and having one less thing to think about. So I was really excited to be able to teach the course, refresh myself on that, and then help everybody that's out here tonight and just be a resource for the drone launch family.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for the intro. I'm gonna hide you guys in the background for a few minutes while I'm flying through some of the AI stuff, and then I'll bring you up when it's your time to shine. All right, sound good? All right, we'll see you in a moment. All right, everyone, you ready to dive in? Like I mentioned, we're gonna go utilizing AI in your drone business for about 10 minutes, and then we're gonna go progression shots for about 10 minutes, and then flight modes for about 10 minutes, and then we'll do a quick run through of all the other workshops that we have, just kind of a quick overview, what you would learn in each one. Tell you how to get access to that $1 deal if you want to jump on that, and then we'll stick around for some Q&A. So that's the plan for tonight, and yeah, glad you're here. Let's do it. All right, so I mentioned I'm David Young. That's an older picture of me when I was up against a nice little wooden background there. So I'm the CEO of Drone Launch Academy. I have my FAA Advanced Ground Instructor Certificate. We've been running drone launch since about late 2016, and we've made a bunch of courses. Had over 40,000 people sign up for different things that we have, and email lists. We've interacted with tons of drone pilots over the years. People starting their own business, people working for utilities, people who have video production companies all over the place. So we've seen so many use cases and gotten to have so many people on our podcasts, the Drone 1K podcast, if you're familiar with that. We're about to launch our 6th season coming up here pretty soon. So that will be fun. But we have personally been utilizing a lot of AI stuff, specifically ChatGPT, because that's like the easiest to digest and use AI tool. In Drone Launch Academy's business, a lot of it can be transferred to other drone service businesses. And also, if you guys are familiar with Root Patel, we work closely, and he's still rocking his drone business. And so I run stuff by him all the time, and he's using it a ton for his business. So a lot of the things we pull in this workshop, actually, the ideas were gotten from him because he was telling me about what he was doing. So a lot of this is being used in the real world right now. We talked about Michael Lilly, wet dog drones, working for a $200 million construction company, and Derek Cameron gave his intro there. All right, utilizing AI for your drone business. Let me know in the chat, have you ever used ChatGPT before? I'm guessing a lot of you probably have at this point, but in case you haven't, let me know in the chat. Right, it's free to use. You can use it for free. You can get the paid version if you want, but it is currently free. Yes. Okay, sweet. So you'll be familiar with a lot of this. No, someone says never. No. Okay, no problem. Basically, I'll give you a quick rundown of what it is. Let's see here. Let me see if I can turn this. I guess maybe I'll just share ChatGPT with you for a moment, and you can. Where is it? Oh, here we go. I'll share it with you for a moment, and you can check it out. All right. I'm not going to share that screen. I'm going to share a different screen with you. Chat GPT. All right. So this is Chat GPT. I've just pulled it up. All right. And one thing that it can do, you can act like a personal assistant. You can say like, how do drones work? You can ask it anything. Now, sometimes it'll give you answers that are not totally factually correct. So that's called AI hallucination. So you have to be careful about that, or it'll try to give you facts or different dates or something like that. So you have to check on stats. But it's great for helping you brainstorm ideas and act as a sort of an assistant to bounce things off of. So that's something where you can just keep in mind. So it'll give you I just typed in something very generic, not a lot of detail, not a lot of context, and it spit out all this stuff. It doesn't really know exactly what I want, but it says like, oh, here's all this stuff about drones. It's still going, right? So you need to make sure you put the right parameters on it, which is what we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to hit stop generating. I'm going to do a new chat. All right. So the first thing I was going to say, I could flip back to my notes, but I'll just read it to you. This says custom instructions, because you need ChatGPT to help you. So ChatGPT has this thing where you can give it a set of custom instructions no matter what you type in it. Every single time, it's going to take some context into account. So it's down here. If you go into settings over, you can't see if it's off on the side here, and you turn on custom instructions, it'll ask you a few questions. And typically what I like to give it, and you can, this will be recorded if you want, but I typically like to give it a little bit of info about myself, about my business, about my goals, people that I have on my team, different weaknesses that I have so that it can supplement my weaknesses, how I want it to respond. And I usually tell it what role I want it to take. So I would begin everything like this. Hey, ChatGPT, I am going to I'm just going to type it out. Custom instructions before we start. And then I would do hold down shift and space. And then I'm just going to start writing it down and say, I want you to act as an expert business advisor. Say you can just literally, it doesn't have to be in any type of order. You can just like go and you can just go and start writing. It doesn't have to be fancy. I can say, I run a company called, who wants to do their company? Somebody throw their company in the chat, and I'll do your company. Quick. I run a company called, I'll replace it. Oh, Derek, you're a part of this. You don't count. Me. All right. I got y'all drones. All right. Called I got y'all drones. I got y'all drones. What do you do? I got y'all drones. I might just make it up. We focus on doing drone work for birthday parties and dirt bike rallies. All right. Then you might say, I have a goal to make $100,000 this year. So some goals, Say, then you could give it some preferences. I like long, thorough, OUGH. That's spelled wrong. Responses. So please feel free to add a lot of detail. Even spell stuff wrong, and it'll still know what you're talking about. You could say, I have an assistant named, what's the assistant's name? Jeremy Proctor, you're the assistant. Jeremy Proctor, who does social media for me, or whatever. Just give it some context. You could say, I have an $800 Mavic Air 2S drone. Okay. And then whenever I'm feeding ChatGPT something I want to remember, you can always end with, do you understand? Right. And so instead of trying to give you some response to what you said and trying to figure out like, oh, what is he saying? What is this? You just say, do you understand? So it's like you're feeding it. And now it's like, yes, cool, I got it. All right. And I'll just hit this and now we'll see what it says. All right. Understand your instructions. See, it even fixed my bike rallies misspelling. See, and it just starts going boom. Let's get started. All right. So now that's like stored in ChatGPT's memory. So if you have the paid account version, which I think it's like $20 a month, I pay for it. I think it's really great. But you can have that all stored in there, so you never have to repeat that over and over again. But otherwise, you could just save that on like a little notepad or something. And before you start every time, you just paste that in, and then you ask whatever question is. So that's custom instructions, right? The next thing I would use it for, while it's still just doing all this stuff, the next thing I would use it for would be as a business advisor. And so we'll test that out. I'll show you right here. It's still going. So it's giving you a lot of stuff, right? I love it. It helps you think through things in a much more structured and logical way. Like me, my brain is kind of all over the map sometimes. So this helps me break things down. Or if I don't know, like, crap, what's the next step I should do? Or I feel kind of overwhelmed by this. You can almost use it like, sometimes I use it as like a work therapist. Like, ChatGPT, I'm feeling overwhelmed. I'm feeling like I don't have clarity on what I'm supposed to do. Help me. And it'll literally ask you questions like, well, what are you, give me a list of what you're working on right now. Okay. Now, when, people feel overwhelmed, they do this. Oh, you know what? I forgot to add a weakness. So like, let's do a weakness. Say, you can just do this. I also forgot to add that I have a huge weakness. I'll just use mine. I get easily distracted. Don't follow through, or I'll have a hard time following through with projects. So remember to help me, right? So you can just say that, and now it knows. So every time you have a new conversation thread, it's going to remember everything in this conversation thread. So I'm just going to throw that in there, and now it's going to remember that for whatever future prompts that I give it, right? So first off, it's sitting here. Let me give you some techniques, right? So now it knows. Assistant, since you have Jeremy Proctor assisting with social media, set recurring weekly meeting with Jeremy. I mean, I just like it can help you with so much stuff. All right, so let's move on. So business advisor. So let's say I do birthday parties and bike rallies, and I'm like, you know what? I feel like I'm having a hard time getting my 100K goal with this specific niche. So I might say, man, I'm thinking about expanding, or I'm thinking about doing other stuff. I've used this for ChatGPT in my own business, so I could just literally type it in like you're talking to a friend. It doesn't even really have to make total coherent sense. All right. You just say, I don't think, like I just said, think I'm going to hit my 100K goal with my current industry focus. I think expand. What industries or verticals should I consider expanding into in order to make 100K? No idea what it's going to say, but let's see. So you could do this, and it'll just help you think through that, right? Drones offer a plethora of opportunities, various sectors. Here's several industries that you could consider, right? Real estate. And then it's going to start breaking down all the different industries, and it's going to tell you the use cases for those. And then, so something you could say, Agriculture, livestock monitoring. Let's say, oh, I live in the Midwest or something. There's a lot of livestock around here. I might start typing out, I like the idea, livestock monitoring. Tell me a bunch more about that and the use cases. Who would buy that service? I mean, and I'll wait for it to keep going, but then once it's done, I could send that one in. So again, tons of ideas here, right? Surveying, mapping, filming, TV production. I mean, you might know about a lot of these already, but it can kind of help you spur the wheels like, oh yeah, okay, that's true. And then maybe you can dig into one. So you can kind of like figure out where you want to go, and then you can dig deeper and dig deeper and dig deeper. Right now it's going to go livestock monitoring, health monitoring, locating livestock, predator detection. Like I wouldn't have thought of all these things. Grazing pattern analysis, water and feed monitoring. So it's just so much stuff you can come up with. So just help it just like brainstorm business ideas, a business advisor. What should I do next? All this stuff, right? Potential clients, large scale ranchers, dairy farms, livestock research. So now you can go, oh, look at all this. Cool. Now I'm going to get a list of these people in my area, right? And then now it knows you might, all this stuff, concerns, scheduling, data. So it'll just give you tons of good info. All right. So I don't want to go too long. The last thing I would use it for would be marketing. So let's say I've decided, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do livestock monitoring, and I'm going to add this to my list of services, but I have no idea what to say for livestock monitoring. So I'm going to go ahead and say, I like this idea. Can you help me write some copy for my website? So that's just like the words on your website. For my website services page, give me a headline, and you got to give it the parameters. Give me a headline and the body to put in the section where I talk about my services. Then you can say, also write a 1-minute video script for that page talking about the benefits of livestock monitoring with drones. And then you can take what it says, obviously modify it to make it sound like something you would say and something that you're comfortable with. And then you can put that, it's just so much easier to not start from a blank piece of paper, right? To have something that you can do. All right. And you can then put that on your website. You can get that script. You can take that, then you can modify it. I do this all the time just to get ideas and say, hey, write me a script. Now, a lot of times I don't use it straight up because it doesn't sound like me, you know? But you can modify it to say, oh, okay, well, I'll take this. And I wouldn't say that, but I would say something like this, right? So let's see what it's given us so far. Headline, precision livestock monitoring with drones, right? Put that on there. Navigate the future of livestock management with I Got Ya drone. Their state-of-the-art drone technology, ranchers and farmers, unprecedented views of herds. You can put all this stuff, right? So now people know what services you offer that's really unique and interesting. I would have not known any of this or have thought of any of this before this call right here, right? Now you got your 1-minute video script. It'll even tell you if you want to go on like art list or something where they have B-roll, you can tell it, you can put your own little background B-roll in there. Narrator. Now, sometimes I'm like, I don't want a narrator. This is stupid. I want it to be me. But it tells you like our cutting edge drone stuff, ward off potential threats. And it shows you like what footage to show, what to say. So again, you can take it, make it sound like you know, don't just regurgitate something else and then have something to work with. So you can use it for business strategy, marketing, so many other things, but you have to give it those parameters to make it something that will help you without just going all over the place. So I hope that makes sense. I'm going to go ahead and be done with the AI section, but I recorded me and a guy that is on our team that's knee deep in AI all the time, Andrew. We recorded like a little over an hour workshop on all this stuff, giving you a lot more detail. So that's one of the things that's in the Drone Launch Connect community that you could have to play around with and check out if you want to do that $1 deal. All right. So that's that. Michael Lilly's up next. Are you ready, Mike? All right. I'm going to add you to the stage. You might want to unmute yourself. I got your slides. Coming
awesome. Well, I've got notes because you know I can't read the screen. It's the print's too small. I'm old. What can I say?
You're good. Well, for the sake of everyone else, I'll throw this up here. And again, I'll put these slides up later. This had a few of the prompts and stuff, or some of the examples that I was going through. Right. All right. How to take progression shots. Mr. Michael Lilly, take it away.
It's funny that you brought up livestock. Occasionally I have the opportunity to count some buffalo out here in Colorado for a guy. And it actually pays really, really well. But we're going to skip on to the next thing. So you want to change the slide for me?
Sure.
So what are progression shots? And I'm just going to read it right from the notes. David knows me. I tend to be a little long-winded. So I'm trying to keep this short and in my 10 minutes. Drone progression shots are a type of aerial photography or video techniques where drones are used to capture a series of images or videos over a certain period of time. This technique is often used in construction projects for documenting the progress, and I'm just going to throw these out. But for what it's worth, that was written on Chat GPT also.
Was
So,
it? Nice.
yeah. So typically in my job, I'm going to go out and I'm going to take shots. Go ahead, pass it up. I
Yep.
work mainly construction. The company that I work for, we are, like I said in the intro, we're a $200 million a year construction company. At any given time, we've got anywhere from 17 to 25 job sites going on. From currently, I'm working from just east of Fort Collins to Castle Rock, and as far east as Colorado Springs, and as far west as Idaho Springs. So that's a lot of driving for me. Um, I, I have no complaints. I mean, I love the job. It pays well, and I like to tease that I have a set of golden handcuffs, and that's company truck, and that's really pays for itself when you consider gas and how much driving I do. Other things that we can use for progression shots, we could do erosion. I think beach erosion on the coast after a hurricane. That's going to get washed away. We can go back in time and look at shots from various time points and see how much beachfront we've lost or beachfront we've gained, I guess would be the actual thing there. And as far as event documentation, not really something I've ever looked into, but think about setting up a large festival. Um, you could start from the beginning in the morning and then take shots throughout the day and just go on with that. And you've got that for the venue to use in their marketing or whatever. Next slide. I do apologize. I'm moving quick. They gave me an hour to do my class. It took me 4 hours to shoot it because I tend to talk so much and get deep and off track.
You're fine.
So
You're fine. You're good.
notes, staying on tracks. So what software are you going to need? So, no, oh yeah, she did make that, French. So let's talk about Lychee. Low cost, easy to get into. I dove into that a little bit in the class. I think it's like $29 for iOS or Android. Slight learning curve, not that hard, but that is going to be probably your lowest cost option to get into this. Next thing is Map Pilot Pro. It's going to be a SaaS, software as a service. You pay monthly for that. Drone Link, you can go with a one link. These are all flight automation software. I mean, I know it says that on the slide. I didn't mention that. So these are going to allow you to take the same shots over an extended period of time. So you're going to get to the job site. You're going to send your drone up. It's the automation software. You just hit the button, and the drone takes those same shots from the same location, the same elevation, with the same camera angles every time. So this is my bread and butter here. I personally, I'm using UGCS right now. It is working out really well for me. And that is actually something that the construction company I work for didn't buy. That's out of my pocket. But DroneLink is a good one. You can do a one time, or you can pay for it as a service. There are some limitations on the one-time price. Pix 4D Capture Pro, it's free with an account. I have not got into that yet because from what I've read, it's a little buggy with the Mavic 3 Enterprises, which is what I fly. UGCS, this is the Mac Daddy of all progression software. It allows you to do facades. It allows you to do corridors. It allows you to do maps. It allows you to do models. It is just a beast when it comes to what it's able to do. And like I said, I get to the site. I do my pre-flight. I open up my software, and the projects that I create in UGCS, they just import right into the Map Pilot 2 or the Pilot 2 app on DJI, and I just hit start, and I just keep an eye on the drone, and it's been giving me fantastic results for the last couple of months. I really, really like that. As far as drone deploy, the planning software is mostly free unless you're running an Air 2S, which unfortunately is my backup drone, but I don't use it. like I said, I'm hooked on UGCS. Now, don't let that price shock you, because all these other options that I'm giving you, they all work. They just tend to be, fiddly's not the word. There's a little more work that you need to put into them. And trust me, the learning curve on UGCS is not a shallow one. It is pretty steep. But once you get into this, you start figuring out what you need to do on the job sites. This is just, I don't get paid for saying this, but this is the software you need to be using. There are other ones out there I haven't looked into, but I have worked with Litchi. I've worked with Map Pilot Pro. I paid for the one time on DroneLink. I've used Pix 4D Capture, not the Pro, with the Air 2S back when I was running that mainly. And like I said, UGCS is my main everyday go-to right now, because it just works. And that's what I need. I need to be able to get out of sites, set my drone up, do my pre-flight, and then send it, full send, as Kyle says, and then come back, sit down, collect data, process it, all that fun stuff. When you fly drones for a living, basically, and David, you could probably attest to this, and Kevin probably can also. You're going to spend anywhere from 15 to 20% flying. The rest of the time is all going to be back office processing, editing, billing, all that other stuff that comes with it. There's more to it than just flying the drones. Just keep that in your head. So when we get into what I do with the photos after the fact, I'm going to bring it back, and I'm going to plug them into my software. The software that I use.
My apologies for not moving the headline off of the text below. Sorry.
It's not you. It was Audrey. We'll just blame her.
No, I was the one who went. I looked through it and exported it, and I was moving a few things around, so I might have screwed that up.
That's okay. I know what it says there.
Right,
actually, that one that's covered up by the ARE is one that I'm actually currently investigating. As far as mapping Hammer.
Yeah.
You and I should talk about that offline. Anyway, the free-ish one, WebODM, it works on Windows. It works on Mac, sort of, from what I understand. Works on Linux. I've actually got a Linux box here. I don't use it that much because I've spent the money on Pix 4D. But my biggest problem with WebODM is that it doesn't allow me the I see, Audrey. Sorry about that, throwing you under the bus. It doesn't allow me to use the GCPs. There is an additional software that you could purchase, but if you're looking for absolutely free, WebODM, if you have some kind of programming knowledge, you can set up. But they also offer a package installer, and I think it's $59, and it'll install the software and all the dependencies that you need on your computer. And then you can spend another $29 and get the GCP Editor Pro. Like I said, I haven't dug into that, and the main reason is because WebODM by itself is an absolute pain to put GCPs in. Ground control points, that's a whole nother thing. Maps Made Easy is a pay-as-you-go. Pix Pro, not one that I've investigated, but it's also a software as a service, as is Drone Harmony, as is Hammer Missions, as is Drone Deploy. These all get really expensive over the course of the year. We're talking $5,000 to $7,000. Pix 4D, I have a perpetual license. That's a one-shot deal, and I'll just let you look that up on your own. However, David does have a video that talks about a workaround, but I'm not going to bring that up. So I'll let you handle that one.
No, just real quick. If you happen to be a student, a grad student, undergrad, you're taking one class, if you have a .edu email address, you can get the student pricing, which is what I did. And I am using it for educational use, not commercial use, because I use it just to teach with mostly.
Yes.
But it takes the price from the 1 year price from Pix 4D Mapper. It's not Pix 4D Cloud, but Pix 4D Mapper, from like $3,000 to $100. So pretty affordable. But you do need a pretty decent machine to run it on. So keep that in mind. But it even takes Pix 4D Cloud to cheaper. So
yeah. So like on the next one, Metashape, Agisoft, they have a student discount. So if you don't have an edu address, if you have a child that's in school that may have an email address, I'm not saying you should, but that is also a possible option.
And you want to teach them about mapping,
Yes, there you go. I actually hired my daughter as a VO once in a while. She loves it
Good.
because, well, she gets to stand around and make money for doing nothing. Uptelos, I don't know anything about it other than what I've read online. I've not played with it. I, evidently, it is amazing. But like I said, I don't have an opinion on that because I've not used it. Capture by Bentley. Pretty good software from what I understand. Again, it's an SAS. Uh, I'm not a fan of software as a service. I guess it's because I'm old and I just want to buy things once and be done with it. Buy once, cry once. My father had a saying, which I actually won't repeat here. We're just going to move along. And my scroll wheel doesn't work. David, can you scroll for me,
Sorry,
please?
sorry. Go for it.
That's okay. It's okay. Truthing software. So this is not something that I cover in the online class. So you guys are getting a little thing here. So I just answered a post on Drone Launch Connect. I put up some accuracy shots where I was getting 0.025 of a foot accuracy on one of my actually on my most recent app. One of the things I do is I use a third-party software just to verify my accuracy. So I'm going to create my map. I'm going to create my map in Pix4D, and then I'm going to move that over into another software, and then I'm going to import my ground control points into that software, which I shot with a GNSS receiver. Just think GPS on steroids. And then all my points line up, and then I can measure the distance by how far I'm off. The company that I work for a day job, they want less than a tenth of an inch, or a tenth of a foot, which is 1.2 inches, because here we work in freedom units, which are twelfths.
Freedom units.
Freedom units, baby. We are one of 2 countries left in the world that still use feet. So these are 3 softwares that you can use. ArcGIS, very expensive. QGIS, my favorite, is free. And then if you have AutoCAD or Civil 3D, you can check your measurements and check your accuracy in that software before you turn it over to the client. Where am I out on my notes? Can you scroll for me, David?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
That's okay. That's okay.
I'm getting distracted reading the comments. There you go.
Oh,
So photo and video processing software.
oh yes. I guess I'm going all software here. So GIMP, open source. I use it in Linux. I've used it in Windows. Lightroom, again, you see there's a lot of software as a services here. But the ones that I use are GIMP. I use DaVinci Resolve. They do have a paid program, which I have not found the need for. It's a one-time deal, kind of like Final Cut Pro if you're a Macintosh or Apple user. But Lightroom for editing your pictures, Photoshop will do that same job, Premiere Pro for your video editing, and then Final Cut Pro. But you see the 2 on the top, left and right, those are both free. So that's what I use, and it works for me.
And what are you typically using them for in this process?
Thank you. I was just looking through my notes. It's like, do I even talk about what I do in here? Actually, I do. So I'm going to go out to the site and I'm going to take all my nadir shots, my straight down 90-degree angles, potentially some obliques for a 3D model. And then I'm going to shoot my cardinals, my north, south, east, west, northeast, northwest, southeast, southwest shots, basically the corners of the buildings, and anything else I may find interesting on the site. They may be overexposed, they may be blown out, which very rarely happens because of the way I've got my drone set up. I'm shooting at -7 on the aperture, not aperture. My exposure is generally -7, so that way I don't risk the chance of blowing out an image. Because nothing worse than coming back and opening up your laptop and realizing that you've got to go back to the site because you've got overblown images, too exposed images, overexposed. That's the word I was looking for. Overexposed.
Blown out. Yeah.
So basically, I can go in and I can retouch those. The nadir shots, the straight down shots that I use for mapping, I generally don't do anything with those. I'm shooting at on sunny days. So I mentioned I fly at M3E. One of the big issues that we have with the M3E, thank you so much, DJI, is we do not have a white balance, which is annoying as all snot. So we're dealing with exposure only, shutter, aperture, and f-stops, which is aperture. Sorry.
Yeah. Like ISO.
So basically, yeah. That's the other one, ISO. I basically fly my drone. My shutters that's set to 1/1000 on sunny days, 1/800 on cloudy days. My ISO is auto. My exposure is locked. And that's pretty much. And my aperture is locked. So
Cool.
actually, it just because you don't eat, it's just easier that way. I'm not a fan of the automated stuff that the algorithms use, because I've had some issues with maps where the algorithm said this, but I didn't agree with it, and then I had to go back and redo it because I was correct. The algorithm was wrong. There have been times that it's worked the other way. I'm not perfect. Well, we'll just move on. But those
You're
are
good.
the software. Those are the photo and video processing software that I use. So pre-flight, you can have your checklist. Mine's about this long. This is not my
Okay.
checklist, but it's about 2 pages. And that actually starts the day before I'm going to fly. One of the things I want to do while I'm the day before is I want to check airspace. Do I need approval? What's the weather going to look like? Do I have are all my batteries charged? Do I have a clean SD card? These are all things you want to do the day before, because if you try to do them the day of, you're going to scramble, you're going to miss something. And then in the middle of a flight, or when you get ready to fly, you're going to realize you got to run to Walmart to pick up an SD card. Don't ask me how I know
Mm.
that. Because, yeah. So day before, and I really should have grabbed that. So batteries are charged, SD card is clean, weather is checked. Um, Airspace authorization, if needed, is had. And that's pretty much the day before. The day of, I'm going to make
Yep.
sure that I have all my gear, all my batteries, my drone, any filters that I use. Again, I have a thing of SD cards that I actually always carry. It's out on my desk right now because of the instance where I had to go to buy Best Buy or Walmart and buy an SD card. So I've always got those with me. And I've actually got a list or a statement that I bring with me for nosy neighbors. There's other things that I could say that are really
Your
curious
hand.
people. Yeah,
I think
I just
I think we just put out a video from Dusty about how to deal with drone
he
Karens.
he did. Well, actually, I didn't want to say the word name Karen because I don't know if I had a Karen in the group, and I don't want to offend anybody. But I do have my quote unquote Karen sheet that is laminated that I can just hand to the person coming up and yelling at me, and it basically says, "I'll be with you in just a moment. Let me get my drone down, and then we can talk." I mean, it
Yeah.
breaks it down. It's a full page. It gives them something to do while they're reading that. I can get my drone down and then engage in conversation instead of just being rude. So I've got all that. So once I've got all that, I'm going to get my drone out. I'm going to pre-flight that, check my rotors, batteries charged, no cracks in the frame body, no swollen batteries. I'm going to put my drone on my landing pad. I'm going to start it up. I'm going to start my controller up. And then once everything syncs, I'm going to take off for 30 seconds and I'm going to hover. And I go over this. And in the video, I say 3 minutes and I correct myself, but it's 30 seconds. I just let it hover there to make sure there's no wonkiness in the drone. At which point I will land it down. I will upload my flight program to it, whether I'm using UGC. I'm using UGCS or UCGS. I'm going to upload my flight plan, and then the drone's going to take off. It's going to fly. It's going to collect all the data that I want. It's going to do my orbits for me. It's going to do all the stuff I need it to do. And then I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to check my data. Very important, because nothing worse than getting back and realizing that you have blown out photos or the drone didn't
Wait,
capture parts.
am
So
I
no,
am I up?
we're still on. Oh wait, no, I went the wrong way. See, this is what happens when I go.
Oh, good. What's Maka?
MOCA, minimum obstacle clearance altitude. You should do that during. So when you first take your drone off, and I forgot this because I don't have my checklist in front of me. After you do your 30 seconds, take off, find out what the lowest or the highest obstruction is in the area, and then plan to fly about 20 feet above that.
Yep.
So that's the first time on the site. So because I fly the same sites over and over and over and over again, I know what that is on each site. So it's not something that I check on a regular basis. First time on the site, that's one of the things that I'm going to do. But after that, it's pretty much set in the software, and everything else is automated. Make sure you've got your software, your photos are good, and yeah, then we're back to the office processing. Now switch,
Processing.
David.
Boom.
Yep.
All right.
There
Anything you
we
want to
go.
add with processing?
No, probably the easiest processing is cloud processing because you really don't have to do anything.
And that's more for photogrammetry versus progression shots, right?
Right,
Or I mean, I
right.
guess you
Well,
could do.
progression shots. So yes, I consider that part of my package that I do because I'm doing
Yeah,
that map every time I'm on site.
right.
But I'm also taking those other shots. So after I've got a library of shots that span a month or more, I'm going to go through it. I'm going to find those. I'm going to take my video. I'm going to bring that into DaVinci Resolve, and I'm going to make a video that has about, if I'm doing a month, so that's or a 1 minute video. That's probably going to be about 2 months worth of progression. Every 2 weeks, I'm out there, so 10 seconds, 5 seconds each clips, starting at the like for the orbits that I do. Um, there's there's stuff on my YouTube, which but you're going to do that, and then you can also overlay your stills, and you just want from the same angle, same altitude, and then you can do all that in you're going to need Photoshop for that, or actually GIMP. Uh, GIMP is what I'm now using. I was using Photoshop because my daughter has a educational discount.
Cool.
But yeah, so and then you're going to wrap all that up and you're going to put it in a Word document, or in my case, I upload it to my website. My public facing website is just a taste of what we do. There's a lot more stuff going on behind the scenes with private access to clients and stakeholders, and the people that pay my bills. Some of or most of what's on my website has been company approved, that this is what we can do. But that's one of the things that I really enjoy about Pix4D Mapper, is that I maintain all the data. It doesn't go to the cloud because cloud is a fancy word for, say it, David, somebody else's computer.
I was like, I don't know what you're
So
going for.
sorry about that, put you on the spot. But yeah, it allows me to maintain data security. Everything's right here. Nothing's up in the cloud. So that's why I try to do everything right here. I actually have clients that appreciate that. So if I'm processing and analyzing, if I've got, well, we'll use Jerry for example. Once a month, I go out and I count buffalo. That's making a simple map and then counting all the brown spots.
Yep.
And like I said, it pays well. So, yeah. So
Gonna go on.
and again,
Effective
not
crafting
only,
effective progress reports.
yep. So that's all going to depend on what the client wants.
Oh,
My full-time employer is going to want ortho, he's going to want the cardinals, he's going to want videos, he's going to want stills, he's going to want close-ups on the sides of the buildings. He's going to want facades done because they want to check, make sure all the windows are caulked, there's a lot of stuff that they want, and that's what they pay me for. And just a sample of that is on my website, so, and you can find
okay.
it at I think it's on the next slide. Maybe did I put that on there?
Delivering the data.
So delivering the data. So what I do with my clients, so we've got a couple ways to do that. Jerry, he gets his on a thumb drive. My employer, I upload that to project site. Other clients, it's available on my website, but it's behind a I won't say a paywall because they're not paying for it, but and then that links to my Dropbox, and they can get all the files they want right from my Dropbox. One of the things that you should really do if you get into this is make sure you let your clients know that you're only going to hold their data for a certain amount of time, because running a large Dropbox is not cheap.
Hmm.
But yeah, and it all depends on how the client wants this handled. They may give you a server, whether it's an Ignite server, project site. Um, there's another one that we've used in the past, Procore. They'll give you an address and you'll just upload it, all of that. They may or may not even want you to process it. You just upload it and you're done. Those are my favorite kind. No work on my part other than going out to the job site. So,
Cool.
but yeah, I think I've talked
All
way
right.
too much and went
No,
past
it's good.
my.
It's a good overview.
So
So,
if
so
you
if you
got
guys want to,
questions,
yeah, if you
go
can
ahead,
stick
Dave.
around to the end, Mike. No, I was gonna say we'll
Yeah.
have a Q&A time at the end for people who people have more questions on stuff. But Mike's got a workshop in the course all about specifically on the progression shots. So how to set up Litchi to do all the automated stuff, how to get it, how to put these reports together. He walks through actual examples of how he does it. So that's in there if you ever want to check that out. So, all right. Thanks, Mike. I'm pulling
Yep.
Derek up here. Derek,
I'll
you
be in the
ready?
comments.
Okay, sounds good. All right. Next we have Mr. Derek Cameron. How
All
you doing, Derek?
right. I'm doing well, David. How you doing?
I'm good. I'll try to
Just
keep
get-
up with you on the slides, but
No, it's all right.
might be bouncing around.
I work quick. A lot of knowledge bombs on Michael's part too. So I pulled a few things in this out of that one too. So very helpful. Thank you for all of that.
Yeah. All right. Intelligent flight modes.
Yeah. So there's actually a little bit of overlap in this section to what Michael was talking about in a couple of the intelligent flight modes, as people are, especially on the progression, using waypoints and stuff. But not to jump the lead on this one. So the intelligent flight modes, if people want to throw some comments to if they have used any of them or if they're just aware that they're there, sometimes they just get buried in the controller and you forget that they're there and have really good purposes. Essentially, they are automated automated flight functions on the drone. So it just sets it on a flight path and does a particular movement or sets it on a particular trajectory without you having to manage the sticks while you're doing it. So it's a great thing to have if you are working on multiple actions at once. Um, for instance, like if you're trying to yaw and work the gimbal at the same time, and you're you're fumbling with the sticks to try to get all three of those things working together. It's nice if you're able to get enough experience on that and to get work that fluidly. But just being able to use these, it takes one or two things off of your plate in order to do that. And it just makes your operation that much more smoother. And more importantly, it just gets your shots that much more professional looking.
Yep. All right.
So I'm going to go into, I'm going to cover 5 of these tonight. And in the course, I go over the same one. So I'm not going to go too in depth on these. It's just going to be more of the Cliff's Notes piece of this. And then I'll give some practical applications on that as well. So I fly the Mavic 2 Pro. So these are ones that are um, native to mine. So some of the newer ones or some of the older drones, they might have different ones or there might be different classifications on those. So just just take a look at your controller and then the intelligent flight mode screen just to make sure that there might be just different terminology on it, or they might be buried in another function. So the cinematography one, it's really, I mean, it's exactly what you think it is. It basically slows down the yaw and it tapers the stopping. So if you are doing a flight where you're trying to get shots of you're out in, Colorado or some other beautiful vista where you're trying to get great shots and you're either doing a sweeping shot or something like that, and you don't want it to be herky jerky. It's a great way to pull that up, and it slows down and it tapers the movements on there. So when you are collecting that shot or you're getting the video clip, it slows it down enough where it just adds that nice buttery smoothness to it, and it really helps in the cinema. It just gives it that professional looking cinematography on that one.
You go to the next one.
Yeah.
So I think these are some of the use cases, right? With the 5 flight modes on each one. So
Yeah.
cinematography, cinematic mode, and then you would talk about tap fly for a sec.
Yeah, tap fly is a good one. So that one is, let me make sure tap fly is the one I'm thinking of. Yeah, tap fly is a good one for if you are looking to do like a slow descent. Think of an establishing shot in a video where you're starting out wide, especially in a cityscape or something like that, and you're looking to just do an establishing shot or moving towards something. It allows you to do it, and then you can also click a trajectory on it so it slowly descends. So you're not having to work the descent controller and the forward controller at the same time. and trying to fumble with both of those, especially if you're trying to do gimbal movements, because those I just referenced 3 discrete movements that you're doing with the controllers, and it's really easy to make it clunky and clumsy. So this just takes one of those things out of it. And if you're coming in, it's already doing its automatic slow descent, and then you can just work the gimbal controllers a lot easier, or you don't have to worry about the descent or the going forward, and you can control the speeds on that too.
Yeah, Derek, I had a question. So I was
Yeah,
recently watching the workshop on this tap fly.
yeah.
Now, when it seems pretty cool. Like you can, like you said, like, have like an establishing shot or like coming in or zooming out.
Mhm.
Um, is it doing all of that automatically, like the descending and the
Yes.
speed and everything? What
Yeah.
are you controlling during a tap fly, I guess, intelligent flight mode? Are you doing anything? Are you
So
only doing the gimbal?
in the
What
forward
parts
and
are you controlling?
yeah, if you're going forward or reverse, all you're controlling is the gimbal.
Okay.
So
So
it takes everything else out of that. And then it also allows you to control the speed. So if you want to do a slow descent or a slow ascent, you can do that right in the screen. So you can just do your kind of nice rise
yeah.
up above a building or something like that.
Yeah.
And then the third part of it too, I think it's like free fly or something. It
Uh-huh.
allows you to yaw. So picture
Okay.
doing like just being on like a slider or a gimbal or something where
Mhm.
you are just moving in one particular direction, or a dolly track, I guess, to
Yeah.
um
It's like your
and
track in the air is like this, and the drone is just sliding up and down on it, and you can kind of pivot like vertical.
exactly. And you
Yeah,
can control it, and you can control the ascent or descent on that too. I usually just do it for a crab shot, which is just basically going left or right. And then I will yaw the drone. So it's just doing like a nice crab across the screen. And
mhm.
again, you can control the gimbal on that one. So
Cool,
it's great for the cinematic shots. It's fantastic for that one, to just
cool.
take the one less thing out and just focus on composing your shots.
Yeah, I've had DJI drones for 7 years, and I've never used the intelligent flight modes on them. And I was like, "Oh, these are actually really nice."
Well, when you
Um,
introduced it, when the course came up, and I'm like, when's the last time I've used them? And then I went through, and Jorge would go on the course, and I was like, oh my God, like I can't tell you how many times, like in the recent past, where I have done everything that I just mentioned, where I'm like yawing, descending, moving forward, working the gimbal. Like I've had to adjust my gimbal settings to make it smoother. And there's just a lot of things to think about. Obstacles not being, the least of
yeah,
which. So just taking those things out of it, it just allows me to focus much more on getting the composition that I need. So yeah,
yeah,
it's fantastic.
yeah,
The last one there is active
yeah,
track.
active
That's a
track.
good one. I mean, you see like any of those like real, like sexy reels that you see people out in Iceland or something like that, where they're walking like across like the volcanic fields and hiking like up in the mountains and stuff, or the Jeeps that are kind of bopping along ridge lines. Those are the ones that are great for that, because it just has a little point, focuses on it, and it just goes. And
Solid.
it just moves with it. So you don't have to worry about trying to keep up. And is it out of focus? Is the drone moving out of screen? So again, just one less thing to have to worry about.
Do you know if the obstacle avoidance is activated during an active track type of? I know I'm kind of putting you on the spot here. I'm just curious. Like, let's say you're like throw the drone in the air, you get in your car, you drive off. Is that gonna like fly into a tree or something?
I believe it is. I mean, I think the only time the obstacle avoidance is off is when you're in sport mode, and I don't think you can. I'm pretty sure you cannot use any of these in sport mode.
Okay.
So if you're in portrait or whatever the P mode is,
Yeah.
it should be activated. Now,
Cool.
all of that said, branches are real hard things to be able to avoid.
Yeah.
If so, they really tend not to show up. So going back to Michael's point on his, make sure that you have, situational awareness, like, in check, and you understand what your clearance is for any low obstacles.
I was in North Carolina a week or two ago. I was flying the drone, my Air 2S, and I was trying to land it on the porch of the house we were staying at. And sometimes, if you get like, I'm not gonna crash, like, if I'm just taking off or landing and I'm pretty still, I'm not gonna crash it, but the, obstacle avoidance is, like, freaking out because there's, like, railings for the porch, and there's, like, a roof nearby, and so it thinks I'm, like, close to all this stuff, so it wasn't letting me take off or land very well. So I just flipped it into sport mode, so it would turn the obstacle avoidance sensors off temporarily while I landed it. Well, I was hovering about eye level, and I don't know, I just had a temporary brain fart, and instead of pulling down with the left thumbstick to make it land, I, uh, pulled down with the right
It
thumbstick, and it
it
went
attacked you?
whoop. It almost hit the house, and I
Oh,
kinda just jumped up with the other thumbstick, and it flew up really quickly over the roof line, but I almost just, straight up smashed it right into the house totally voluntarily, but whew, good thing I did. That was pretty embarrassing for, someone who's been flying drones for 7 years, so
we
it
all
can
have those
happen. You just
moments.
get them
We
switched up
all
one
have
time,
those
you know?
moments.
I know. So, yes, it's definitely not on during sport mode, you're right. So tell us a little bit about point of interest. I guess we already talked about cinematic mode, but let's talk about point of interest for,
Yeah, I mean, on the real estate side, I mean, I think anybody that has done any real estate videos, where you're, thinking of like those, like, beautiful houses on the water where you're just picking a particular spot on the screen, and the drone just does an orbit around it. So it can either go clockwise, counterclockwise, and it's a great way because it stays in a concentric circle as opposed to really clumsy ovals and God knows what when you're doing it manually. So that's another one that I've started using more in what I'm doing on solar surveys because I have to do obliques
mm,
for roofs to get the measurements for the engineering company. So I usually do it manually, and of course, as you're doing it, the drone's pulling out
yeah,
as
it's
I'm
hard to get
trying.
that perfect circle.
Yeah, so it's great for that. I mean, anybody that's done 3D modeling too, this is a game changer for that because you just basically set it and forget it, and you can put it on automatic shot mode. So if you're doing photos, you can just put it on, you're going to be doing JPEG, so you can do 2-second increments, and it's just everything is just going automatically, and it's just much more smooth and much more accurate too.
Cool. All right. Tell us a little about the waypoints.
Yeah, waypoints are great, and I think Michael could probably speak to these too. I mean, all of the software that he referenced, I mean, they're going to be a lot more powerful and they're going to be a lot more sophisticated than what the waypoints are, but they're still great tools to. It's still a great tool to have if you are doing any consistent flights that are either along a corridor. I mean, think about anybody that's doing like municipalities or highway departments or something doing road work, and you are looking to track or to get a progression on a particular stretch of road, or think of like utility lines or anything like that. It allows you to save a mission and fly in a particular direction, and it also allows you to change direction or change the where the drone is facing, and you can save that so it has the same height, the same speed, and the same direction every single time. And you can have multiple points too. So if you wanted to do like, say you are getting a progression of a building or something that's going up, you can draw a box around that with the waypoint, and it will get the same exact thing every time if you've saved that. So it just, again, I mean, all of these are just more for efficiency's sake to automate some of these functions, so you just don't have to think of 90 things as opposed to, you only have to think of like a handful of things as opposed to 30 other things.
Yeah. So we talked about the point of interest and waypoints for search and rescue as well. Well, how would
Yeah.
point of interest be used in search and rescue?
So, I mean, that's another great one, especially this one came up a couple of years ago. I've had 2 lost dog calls. The
Mm,
dogs were found. It was not on my watch, or it's not on my part, which I'm kind of a bummer because I'm like, I really wanted to have that success tale. But they're great if you are just doing like a grid or an area where you're flying the drone and you're looking, in your area of interest, but at the same time, you're also controlling the sticks and you're trying to get all these things in while you're also trying to use soft eyes to look at the area of interest. So the point of interest is great because, again, you draw a box around wherever it is you're looking, and you just let the drone go and it's going to do its orbits.
mm, yeah.
And as
Good
you're
point.
doing that, it's perfect for just being able to like let that go automatically and just being able to survey the land on your screen.
Sweet. And then waypoints, similar to what we kind of
Yeah.
already addressed here.
Yeah.
You talked about some case studies. So you want to talk a little bit about some of these?
Yeah, sure. So I'm in a so for the first one, so I'm contracted with the city next to where I live, and they're looking to do some marketing photos. So I've been using these for these are just photos I had taken for some events and some other things. So um, I figure having video on this is probably going to be a little bit clunkier to do. So I figured still
Yeah.
shots would be able to be an adequate visual representation. So
Cool.
those are the ones that I've used for
Oh, sorry,
for
you want to
that
stay
one.
here?
So that one I've used for like the Attleboro one. I've used point of interest. I've used um, active tracking because there's a train station in the city. So as the trains are pulling in, it's a commuter rail. I'll lock on that so the drone can actually fly and follow it because it makes for a great cinematic shot when you've got the kind of city ambiance and then you've got the train that's pulling in and moving out. But being able to follow that, and then the active track on that one, and I've done the tap fly as well, and then the cinematography mode, because just again, like I'm working in a city, so I want to be able to have just smooth, very like professional looking cinematic shots.
Sweet. And then harness racing.
Yeah, so this one's a fun one. I've been doing this for the last year, and the you've got the oval track. So trying to follow a race where animals are running 35 miles an hour, and you're also trying to avoid all the obstacles, trees, the tote board, things that are on the ground. I mean, I'm flying much higher than that, so I'm not spooking the horses, but it's great to be able to try to follow the action. So I'll just put it on active track, and just the drone goes around the track following the
That's
horses
cool.
as they're going along. Yeah, that one's a lot of fun. I've got an FPV too, so I've got the Avata, so I've been trying to weave that in more and more as well. But for the sake of this exercise, it's great to be able to do that, because again, taking one less problem out of my hands and allowing me to focus on getting a good shot.
Yeah. And then lighthouse.
Yeah, so Michael brought this one up too in his piece, and it resonated. So I was there's a archaeological lab in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, that does a lot of historical analysis and a lot of historical preservation work for Massachusetts. I mean, we're in New England, so there's a lot of historical properties and places around here. So they had reached out. There was a Coast Guard installation off the coast of Massachusetts that was set for remediation, and I did a 3D mapping and a modeling job for them so they could look at what the condition is as they were remediating it, because they also had to put it back to its original condition in order to meet the historical guidelines. So as I was up there, and I had again, this is another one, point of interest, that I was using for like the lighthouse, and then getting the oblique shots for the model. But as I was up there, that I saw that the cannon emplacements in the left photo there were completely exposed out. So it's just one of those things that allowed them to be able to see something like that dramatic outside, like without having to like go out there themselves or put themselves in harm's way. So I was able to get up close and
Yeah.
personal with that.
Yeah.
But that was a great one. For the automatic modes was great for that one, because there were multiple spots that he needed to get oblique images for in the entire property. So the lighthouse is one of them. And then they had some embankments and berms that were buried, that were old installations for like cannon installations, or just defensive berms that they had back in 19th century. So I just wanted to make sure that I had a nice, smooth, accurate representation of that too.
Sweet. All right, Derek, anything to add to wrap your section up here?
Practice. I will say, and I'll echo what Michael said too. Just understanding what your clearance points are, because I have used especially the point of interest where you're just flying, and for modeling, I have clipped a tree and I had to rig up my dog's chuck it with a tennis ball and a string and fish it out of a 70-foot tree. I caught it, thank God. But when these things are on automatic mode, they're not stopping. So you need to be able to be there at a second's notice to be able to stop. If you're, watching your screen, you're like, oh God, I forgot that I didn't have tree clearance. So just situational awareness, folks.
Love it. Thanks, Derek. I'm gonna bring you back up for a sec, Michael. Mike, thanks for coming on. We're gonna talk about the rest of the workshops here. I'm gonna bring Dusty on. Let's see if I can do that. Oh, all four. Dusty, get in here.
Oh, come on. Where's Dusty?
Is he avoiding us? Ah.
All right.
What's up?
Silly boy.
Thank you guys for coming. All right, let's talk about, I'm going to run through the rest of these work. I mean, there's 16 of them, so I'm going to go incredibly fast just so you get an idea of what else you can learn inside of the Drone Launch Connect community with the mini courses and workshops and all that stuff. So you have the 3 that we talked about tonight, plus 16 others. So let's go real quick. Drones 101. It's an hour and a half. It's all about how drones are built, all the components, and how to fly them, right? You get some good flight exercises. Airspace authorization basically teaches you everything the Part 107 exam did not teach you about how to actually get authorization in controlled and uncontrolled airspace. Mavic Mini 101, if you happen to still have a Mavic Mini, this just is like basically a deep dive into that. Mini 2 Mastery, same thing, deep dive into the Mini 2. Those are a little bit older. These are the newer ones. Intro to Drones and Agriculture. This is taught by a guy who actually lives on a farm and uses drones for spraying, for analysis, and a lot of other stuff. This is Grant Puckrin. He's got a company that does this. So that's about an hour-long workshop. This is Kevin Olson, teaches about how to grow on Instagram. He gets all of his clients inbound, which means he doesn't ever cold call or reach out to anybody. And he just does it as a side business, does really well. It's about an hour and a half where he teaches you how to do that and what's his strategy. Next one is utilize nonverbal communication in your drone business. I would have never thought about this one, but this was a really popular one in the community when this topic came up. So I believe Gary, is that right, Dusty? Gary teaches.
That's correct. Yep.
You know more about this one than I do. You want to give like a little 3-second spiel on what this one is?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So like my background really is in sales. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. So this is one of those things that I've had a little bit of some training in this, but I feel like Gary does a very good job of presenting this as something that's very valuable to anybody. And really what it is picking up on nonverbal communication cues. So anytime that you're talking to somebody, it's always about mannerisms, tone of voice, how they have their body, their hands, and being able to read that and being cognizant of that too, to where, that you're portraying a certain presentation when you come up and you talk and try to sell your business. Try to be mindful in the way that you do that, but also being able to read people and to kind of see, how the conversation's going and how you can guide the conversation into the sales tactic that you want it to be. And so that's pretty much what that one's really all focused on. But there's some really good stuff in there.
Sweet.
I use it with my wife all the time.
Why is your whole body facing towards the door while you're talking to me?
Yeah. I'm not hiding under sheets right now.
Establishing your digital presence. This is about, setting up websites and working on your digital presence. Not that complicated to describe. Drone Business Foundation. So this is like if you're thinking about starting a drone business, I teach this one. It's like 2 hours. Everything to think through before you start a drone business. So thinking through your niche, how you're going to target customers, what problem are you actually going to be solving? A lot of people just jump into drones and think, oh, I'm just going to go fly and make money. But it's a little more complicated than that. You have to really think through some of these foundational issues before you do that. Landing and working with real estate video clients. Jeremiah Oshwald, he's runs a 6-figure real estate video company, and he uses drones, and he literally walks through his whole start to finish thing of how he gets his clients. There's a whole presentation in there that he gives at real estate agent offices and all that stuff. So it teaches you how to do that, how to land real estate clients for video. This one is landing real estate clients through Instagram. So it's a different guy. He teaches our real estate media course where he teaches you how to do photography, video, all that stuff. It's like a really long course that's in our regular Drone Launch Academy website. This is Dominic Wilkerson. in this workshop, he teaches you his what he did on Instagram, again, to land all of his real estate clients. So he makes, again, 6 figures a year in the Pacific Northwest doing this. So he walks you through that. It's 80 minutes. Landing real. Oh, wait, that's a duplicate slide. My bad. Part 107 Airspace Study Workshop. This is taught by me. Basically, it's a deep dive on a bunch of airspace stuff. So if you're studying for your Part 107 exam or you want a refresher, we do a lot of practice questions and go deep into some of the airspace material you would find on the test. Landing construction clients, taught by Root Patel. He started off in construction. Basically, this talks about the OSHA certifications you need, how to go on a job site, who to talk to, how to talk to them, what to say to them, all this stuff. We do like a mock call, a bunch of fun stuff there. So that's an hour and a half. Getting clients for thermal inspections. This one's taught by Jeff Carrillo. He was at our Drone Launch Live event. This is about 2 hours. He does the same thing. Who to talk to, what events to go to, how to approach people, what to say to them, the use cases, all that stuff if you want to do thermal work. How to price your drone services, self-explanatory. This is a brand new one, search and rescue. This was taught by a first responder who actually does this stuff. So 45-minute workshop on how drones are used for search and rescue. And then ones that we're filming right now. Then we have the AI, the other ones you saw, AI for your drone business, intelligent flight modes, how to do progression shots. Ones that are being filmed this month are color grading for video, and then another color grading for Lightroom tutorial for photos. And we also have Alex Harris is doing top 5 cinematic drone shots. And then we also have a guy who is on like the committee that writes all of the stuff for drones for cell tower inspections, who's going to be doing a how to use drones for cell tower inspections workshop in November. So those are the ones coming up. Whew, a lot of stuff in there. So
we've actually also got another one coming up too, really soon. So let me it could come out next month, but it is Alex Kavanaugh. He is an Emmy Award winning cinematographer, but mostly he is a drone pilot. And so he's going to be teaching on how to get complex. I'm not sure really what the title of the course is going to be yet, but it's going to be how to get complex waivers, how to approach waivers, best practices of approaching the FAA and so forth. So,
yeah. So like how to get, like if you're flying next to a big airport, like right next to the airport.
He has a lot of experience with like LA, in the LA area, filming stuff for Hollywood, Netflix, Amazon. And so he,
does a lot of that.
Yeah.
Yep. So real quick, while we're talking about this, I'm going to put this link, or maybe Audrey can put it in there. If you want, you can get access to all this stuff. It's $1 for 30 days worth of access. I would say get in there, check it out, see if it's of any value to you. And then if it is, stick around. If it's not, just set a reminder for yourself to cancel it. We don't, or if you forget, you just let us know and we can refund you or whatever. But if you go to that link, type in the word $1, all one word, it should bring it down to $1 for you for the 30 days. There's really no reason not to get in there and try it. And this is not some ploy just to like make you sign up for it and then bill you after the fact or something. We just want you, if you actually find value in it and you really do like it and you get plugged in the community, we'd love for you to stay. If you do want to stick around, it's $29 a month. Or if you just pay annually, you get 2 months for free. But in there, we have a bunch of other stuff. So we have all the workshops. That's just one piece of it. There's a whole lot of other things that come with the community, in addition to being able to come to Florida to a live event that we just had a few weeks ago where Dusty was there and a bunch of other people were there. We had a lot of learning workshops and we had just a lot of fun hanging out together. But besides the workshops that you just heard about, Dusty, why don't you tell us about some of the other stuff that goes on in the community with like the expert Q&As that we do, and then the
Sure.
All the hangouts, all that stuff. Take it away.
Yeah. No, sure. So first off, let me, guys, I am on a family vacation too. So I'm like in Grapevine, Texas at the Great Wolf Lodge Lounge with like six kids. They're not all mine, but they're nieces, and 3 of them are mine. So anyways, so I had to sneak off, and I'm kind of found myself in the conference room in the foyer. But I can honestly tell you, we started this community about a year ago, and never, when David and I first talked, we met, didn't really foresee this thing kind of growing into what it is right now. And I can tell you personally, it's helped me out a lot in my own personal drone business, and just being able to connect with other people. A lot of times when you try to start your own business, you pass your 107, you go and you have all these ideas of ways that you can use a drone, but you're trying to figure it out by yourself. And so you're either getting on Facebook or all these other forums. And so that's kind of the the good thing about, we have all that within the Drone Launch Connect community. We have a forum to where you can talk about mapping, modeling, FPV, cinematography, photography, and it's broken down to where it's very specific. But the thing is too, within the community, you're going to ask questions and you're not going to get the same kind of feedback that you're going to get and you're going to see within some of the other communities online. I mean, it's just, everybody's trying to lift everybody up. We're all there for the same reason of more of just trying to share experiences and ideas. So every other week, we also do a live expert Q&A where I bring on industry expert somewhere in the drone industry, whether it's, connected to anything that's going to relate to your business to help you out as far as cinematography, photography. We've got guys that have been on, such as like the 2018 DRL World Champion, Paul Nurkel has been on. Ken Heron's been on, if you guys follow his YouTube channel. This next...
We brought in, and let's say we even brought in like people who are CPAs to talk about like tax and business stuff.
Yeah. So we've got next week, we've got Vaughn Tolbert, who owns a insurance agency out of Texas that's strictly focused on UAV and aviation insurance. And so it's just an all insurance talk as much fun as that's going to be.
And Dusty, he relies on the community for feedback too. So if they're like, oh, hey, we want to know about this, or like someone asks a question, do you guys know anything about this random niche? Dusty's able to go and find someone, and it's a lot easier for us to say, hey, will you come speak to our community of drone pilots than it is maybe for you just to individually get that person on the phone, And we can also, like, if we need to like pay someone, we can like offer to pay an expert to come in and talk to you guys for an hour versus you having to individually pay for an hour of their time. Now you have access to them. Literally, it's just like a live Zoom call. You can get on there and just talk to them like a normal kind of Q&A thing. So it gives you a lot of access to people that maybe would be harder to get access to. So,
yeah, no, so as David was saying, for the guys that are into FPV or interested in FPV, I'm sure you've come across Joshua Bardwell, FPV know-it-all. He's coming on towards the end of November, the 1st of December, before the end of the year. But these are Zoom calls where you can come on and, ask your questions directly to them, to the experts. We always record these calls. And so we've got, I think we're at 25 past Q&As right now. It's where you can go through and look and rewatch all these. Some of them go an hour, some of them go, an hour and 45 minutes. We kind of set a time frame on an hour, but depending on just the questions and just kind of how the activity is going on, we'll let it go as long as it needs to be. But the cool thing is we always record these, and then we have a new feature included called Searchy. So say that you're looking just on insurance or FPV or mapping or whatever it is, you can type this into this function. It's just a search bar that types up, and it'll pull from every single Q&A that we've done at this point and show you exactly the timestamp in the video to where this topic, the keyword that you typed in is going to be discussed. And so you click on that and go and watch, and it's kind of, instead of filtering through having to watch everything, you can search specifically for one thing within these Q&As. So, other than that, no, go ahead.
Say, for instance, I got y'all drones. You were my example earlier. Now you're talking about heavy work with fixed wing drones. You could go in and you could search for all the past 20 expert Q&As we've done. And instead of having to be like, okay, did anybody talk about fixed wing? Like, you're not going to take the time to search for that, like manually and look at that. But you could literally click on a search bar and you could just type fixed wing, and it would search every transcript of every expert we've ever had on. And it would look for the word fixed wing, and it would show you what the words were around it. So you could be like, oh, that looks interesting. I want to watch that part. You click on it. It just takes you right to that point in that middle of that expert Q&A session where you can, find and consume just that piece of information. So that's been pretty helpful. We also, once we get more and more mini courses, we might implement something like that for the mini courses as well. So if you're looking for a specific piece of information, you can find it either in a mini course, or you could find it in the expert Q&A. Right now, it's just for the expert Q&A because those are a little harder to sift through. At least the courses have like chapter markers, and it's kind of clear like what lessons are what. Whereas you might have an hour and a half long Q&A with an expert, and you're like, I'm not going to sift through that to see if my question happens to be in there. So this way you can just type it in and find your answer and go. Another thing I want to add about the community that I just love seeing is people help each other out so much, and they're not just from like, I need tips or advice, but like, oh, hey guys, I got offered this job and here it is, but I can't take it because I'm out of town or whatever. Does anybody want this job? People are giving each other jobs. People are mentoring. Like, oh, hey, somebody offered me this mapping job. I don't know what I'm doing. Can somebody help me? People will come and offer advice. People have even said, hey, I'll come down and work that job with you to show you how to do it and like mentor you through it. So people end up working together. Like another great example, someone's like, hey, I need a bunch of extra batteries for this huge job. Like this dude packed up all of his drone batteries and shipped them to another member so he could have them to use for that job. So we really try hard to make it a place, and Dusty does a great job of this, of making it very, very friendly, collaborative. Everybody's there to build each other up. If you're going to be a poo-poo head and a naysayer and like bring people down or whatever, or talk crap, you're not going to last very long. We're going to kick you out. So it's a place where you can like post even your really crappy video, and it's not like all the Reddit people are going to crawl out and tear you to shreds. You can post a crappy video. People give you constructive feedback like, oh, hey, great try on this. Here's a couple tips to improve, stuff like that. So I just think it's just a great place to be if you're learning, you want to improve, you want other like-minded people in the drone community. Even if you are a little more experienced, it's just an awesome place to be. You can say, today, Root texted me, David, I need an FPV drone pilot in Lakeland. I'm like, dude, or in Central Florida. It's like posted in the community. So that's, when people need pilots or when people have jobs, they throw it in there and they're connecting people. So I was somebody working for like Home Depot or Lowe's or something like that. Got a bunch of jobs. So anyways, that's my rant. Dusty's the one who runs the community, but I just think he's doing an awesome job. And I just love to see like what it's become. So I'll shut up now, but I want to give you some kudos for that.
No, I appreciate that. And I'll tell you, it's been a really cool really cool thing to be a part of this, to meet people from all around the world that are all doing the exact same thing. And it was really cool, last month to meet a lot of these guys at the live event in Florida. And it's funny because a lot of times, like, this is something I'm very passionate about, but I feel like it's something I don't share this passion with a lot of people around me. And so it's really cool to connect with a lot of people to where we do share this passion. And so outside of the Q&As, we get together for multiple other events throughout the month. We get together for an FPV discussion, a new pilot question hour. And honestly, we have some of the more professional people coming on there to come and join these things. It seems like no matter what the focus is, we have a happy hour, we have a business discussion, but it seems like no matter what the live topic is, I always pull some sort of information out of it. But there's always, we might have a topic for like, hey, this is what this discussion is going to be, but we might not stay on topic a lot of times, depending on kind of what the discussion is going on, who shows up for the meeting. And so I learned something from every time I hop on this stuff, and it's just been so cool to really connect with some of these people. And going back to a lot of the Q&As, you'll get to meet like Ken Heron, like what I mentioned, Paul Nurkala, and this guy Alex Kavanaugh is the Emmy Award winning cinematographer. All these guys, the majority of the expert Q&A people that we've had on are now members of the community. And so, like Tom Wazinski, who is the drone pilot for the Cleveland Browns and does a lot in Ohio. He's done the HBO stuff and NFL Hall of Fame work. He's actively involved within the community. So you'll see these guys pop up, but you can message them directly and you're going to get a response within the community as well. So it's just been, I can't speak, it surprises me how much it is a value to me, and I'm the community manager. And so I just, I can't speak highly enough about it. It helps me out. I've got a family. I'm trying to run a drone business myself. So I don't think I could have the motivation that I get out of, dealing with a lot of these people in the community. It's cool to be a part of. I keep hearing about all these different text message groups too that keep popping up, and I'm a part of a bunch of them. But there's so many of these members now that I'm finding out that are starting to connect. And I know Michael Lilly is actually getting ready to hook up, if he hasn't already, with Spanky.
Al Spina.
Al Spina. And we met at the dinner in Colorado. And so I didn't learn until we were in Florida that they're going to get together and start doing some work together. So it's just cool to see people really connect. I feel like, we're here on Earth for a short period of time, and community is a big part of it. And, with drones I can't get my kids really interested, and I can't get my wife into it, but I love talking about it. And so I'm like, I love the community aspect of this Drone Launch Connect. And so it's just good to get to talk about it every day. But for $1, you get to try it out, and I promise you, you can get access to me anytime you want. You know, I get text messages and phone calls all the time, and we have a lot of fun with it, and we try to make fun out of helping each other out and getting better. It's really all what it's all about. So
awesome. All right. Oh yeah, we already have that going. All right, Q&A. So I'll just leave this up while we're talking. I'll bring you, Michael and Derek, back on for a little bit in case anybody has some Q&A. Rick, you're not near there, but really nice to know. I'm not sure if
Oh crap!
you're talking about Florida or the USA, but the community is all online. In case you thought this was an in-person community in Florida, just a obvious heads up there.
I'm in Arkansas.
Yeah, sorry. We met in Florida for the live event, but Dusty's in Arkansas. We're in Florida. People are from all over. We had people coming to that live event from Portland, Oregon, and New Jersey, and all over the place. So that's where all the community members are. They're all really spread out. I saw Blocker on here earlier. He was there at the live event. Now he's in the community. So does anybody have any questions for me, Dusty, Mike, or Derek? If not, we can go, but we can stick around for a few minutes. Is there any model or maker that's not approved for government work? Well, Rick, DJI, they're not. You're gonna have some trouble there. China, yeah. They don't like that. That technically there's a capability there that exists where they could take photos or video or whatever and send that back to China. I thought that was all just a bunch of nonsense. I thought their drones can't do that technically. And then I talked to somebody from the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency who does counter UAS stuff. And they said, yeah, actually, they can do that. Now, are they doing that? You know, we'll see. But like they had the capability to do that. And I said, oh, okay, well, this makes slightly more sense at that point. Cool. All right, a couple people signed up. Just signed up. Sweet. For the $1 membership. Excellent. I got y'all drones. It's because I used you as the ChatGPT example. That's, nice. Cool. Underground and surface pipes. That would be a good one for an expert Q&A. Dusty.
Yeah. I'll
Bring someone to talk about that.
I like it. Absolutely.
All right. Well, here's one. Can I start a business with a Mini 3 Pro, or do I need a better drone? Who wants to take that one?
Kevin Olson should take that one.
Yeah. I'll speak on behalf of Kevin Olson, who's not here. He teaches the Instagram workshop. But I would say if you're doing something along the video production lines, right, like you're doing cool videos, marketing, promo type stuff, then for sure that would be enough. I don't think it'll work very well for mapping purposes, but you could do progression shot stuff. You just couldn't do the orthos with it.
And you do real estate.
Yeah, real estate.
I'm actually selling my Air 2S to buy a Mini 4 because I have no social media presence, and that vertical camera, I gotta have it. So
I gotta have it.
Nice. And progressions too, because I've tried editing just that center. Yeah, it doesn't work for me. So
yeah, it's hard. That's something that Kevin talked about in his little workshop that he gave was, if you're doing stuff for social media, you got to remember the sides are all going to be cut out if you're not shooting vertical. Nep, what's up, Nep? Nep was also at the live event. All right, for Michael, how did you establish a relationship with the rancher you count buffalo for?
I go to church with him. At one point in his life, his family was the largest dry land farmer in the country, and they owned 22 continuous miles on both the north and south side of Highway 36 in Colorado. So they had a lot of land, but we go to church together. He's a really nice guy, and he's an old timer, and he doesn't take much crap from anybody, and he just says it like it is. And he says, hey, can you fly out here and find the buffalo herd and count them? It's like, sure. And that started it. And so there we are.
Cool. Yeah.
It's all networking. Everything, and y'all could probably attest to this. It's all networking. It's who do you know that could possibly turn you into somebody that they know.
Yeah.
It's relationships. Everything is relationships.
Yep. Build them before you need them. I think every time Dusty gets up here. He just like signs off.
I keep hitting wrong, but it's a long story. I'm on my phone.
The
I
wrong
couldn't find my computer. My wife had my computer. I couldn't find it. So
That's fine.
haven't had to do. Sorry about
You're
that.
good. Victor says oil and gas. He has a Mini 3 Pro. Oil and gas.
Not so much.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're doing like a ton of like manual obliques for 3D models, but it's not. I would say if you're going to do oil and gas, just get a different drone because they'll pay you a lot. So
Yeah.
including mapping. Mini 3 Pro, no bueno for mapping. Good for just normal nice photos and stuff. Did the all in for a year. All right.
And I would say like go back.
Sweet.
I'm sorry.
What'd you say, Dusty?
No, I was just gonna say like I'm thinking about two of the Q&As we've had. We've had on Tom Wazinski twice now for the Q&As, but we've also had on Brett Tegwad, Elevated Angles on Instagram, and all they do is the Mavic 3 Pro. They don't do any mapping. All they do is cinematography, photography, and absolutely killing it. Just doing the basics, So
yeah, if you're good at it and you can master the relationship side of it, you can be good. Jeremy says, Jeremy, who was the personal assistant, I think that we described earlier in the course. You weren't here. We were doing some ChatGPT examples, and I randomly picked on Jeremy to be somebody's social media manager. He's made plenty of money with his, so that's good to know. That the social media manager can crush it with the Mini 3 Pro. Would you recommend an Air 2S over an Air 3? I imagine that would depend on the purpose. So first, maybe Mike, you can talk, and then I don't know if Derek, if you have any thoughts.
So I love my Air 2S. I've done a lot of work with it. It's paid for itself over and over. However, for me, before the Mini 4 was coming out, I was seriously considering doing the upgrade to the Air 3. I think there's enough of a spec difference between the two? Not really. But my Air 2 is, it's old, and this isn't a Kevin Olson fear of missing out with the Mini 4. That's a story for another time. But for me, I'm going to go with the Mini 4 as opposed to the Air 3. The Air 2S has been a great bird for me, but I think it comes back to it, and that's the other thing on the sensor on that. Yes, on your screen you can crop in and see just the center, and it'll record just that, but that's not native as far as resolution goes. So that vertical camera that just sells that 4 for me. But if you could pick up a used Air 2S, I would go for it if you don't have anything in that class. I mean, that's currently and has been my backup drone. If I need
it's pretty versatile because you can use it for the photography stuff. You could use it for mapping stuff if you got generally. So if you're only going to get one and you're not sure what direction you're going in, maybe that's better.
Because I think the Air 3, it's going to be a while before they come out with the SDK, so you're not going to have any third-party software for it. So that's another thing to look at.
Yeah,
the Air 2S also has a bigger sensor than the.
Yeah,
but not the Mavic 3. I'm sorry, the
Mini 3. That's the Air 3.
No,
the Mini 3. Yes.
Air 3. Yeah,
and
this one might be good for you, Dusty. What type of work would be good with the Avata?
There's a lot of good work that you could do with the Avata. So I'm a big FPV guy. And I got to fly my first Avata. Actually, I flew Kevin Olson's Avata at the live event for the first time inside of the conference room. And so I think the Avata is a great, if you're doing anything for social media or you're doing anything production-wise or, advertising, I think the Avata is perfect for that. Plenty of stuff that you can do for that. Interesting enough, though, when I got back, I think the Monday I got back, Kerry, that was from Alabama, was in the FPV class, that contacted me. And he was an architect. I'm sorry, not Alabama, Mississippi. He would kill me. Yeah. He would kill me if I said that. But he had a job for just kind of inspecting a drainage ditch, which kind of just a very large drainage ditch. I mean, he went for 4 or 5 miles, and he used his Avata. We had a long conversation about it the day before, and it was just more about maintaining the right altitude. But they just wanted to kind of make sure that they had a good view of what was going on with this drainage ditch somewhere there in Mississippi. And so, everything went well, and I think it paid pretty well. So I think the Avata opens up a lot of doors because the things that it does outside of just like a traditional FPV drone. So I build a lot of my drones, but this one has obstacle avoidance. The gimbal moves up and down. You have the O3 air unit, and it's where you're getting really good video quality. But so I think there's a lot of room for the Avata. I mean, outside of just even the guys that are focused on FPV, I think that there's, obviously ways that they're using it now for inspections, but I think there's probably some room now for maybe doing some stuff like trying to get into some sort of close quarters stuff with those drones that it's just hard with a traditional FPV drone that doesn't have any sort of GPS or OcuSync or anything with it. That's the big advantage that the Avata has on it.
Yeah. Thanks. All right, another one. With remote ID going in place soon, do you see this causing limitations to people with older drones, Mavic 2 Pro? No, you can get modules, add-on modules for the older drones if you want to keep those. It's cheaper than buying a brand new one, especially if you got a Mavic 2 Pro. It's a good drone. Dusty, you want to talk briefly about Drone Tag, who actually happened to come on into the expert Q&A?
Just about to say, one of the last few expert Q&As we just had on was the CEO and founder of Drone Tag out of Prague. And so it was one of those things, we had to time it right because it was 7:30, 8 p.m. his time, and I think it was like, morning time, right around noon my time. And so, but extremely interesting Q&A to learn that this guy has started Drone Tag, which is, I think, still the most prominent as far as remote ID modules out there. He's going to be one of the forefronts, for a long time. But what's crazy about it is if you go back and listen to the Q&A, you can figure out that he started the company actually in 2018. Everything's manufactured and handled out of their facility in Prague. But you get to learn a lot about his his impetus for starting the company, but also kind of the progression with the introduction of remote ID, kind of how things have come about, now to this point where he has multiple products for FPV, line of sight stuff for your large manufacturers and enterprise stuff. And so, and another thing about that, David, you glad you brought it up, but Drone Tag is also one of those things that we're working at right now. We have several different vendor discounts and vendor relationships within the community that we've negotiated, from like Propeller Aero to Master Air Screw. I've got some FPV simulators coming up right now. But Drone Tag is jumping on board too, and it's going to start giving the Drone Launch Connect community. I'm not sure. I think it's about a 5% discount, but still, I've got multiple FPV drones. So if I want to put a remote ID module on every drone, that 5% will add up after a while. But so yeah, that's kind of it.
Yeah. Okay. Sweet. Let's take a few more questions, and we'll probably have to sign out because I've almost been on here for approaching 2 hours here. So, we'll do drone shows and pricing structure. So, anybody recommendations about getting into drone shows? I do know that we were talking to a company for one of our podcasts about having them on to talk about drone shows. I can't remember who they were. I'd have to go look. I can look into it a little bit if we need to, but do you guys, anybody else on here know anything about getting into drone shows? I know it can be expensive because you need a lot of drones. You need
I'll talk to a
500
couple
drones.
I'll talk to a couple of manufacturers when you and I are in Colorado at AUVSI, and they weren't the actual drone shows. They were the manufacturers of the drones that were sold to the drone shows. And so they were not really, I don't know if it was just the language barrier or whatever it was, but it was just not one of those things. We weren't driving that well. So I need to get connected, but I know that Drone Girl, or she's very plugged in with that
Sally
right now. And so that's
Yeah.
I'm going to get Sally, maybe reach out to her and kind of, that's been on my radar. Absolutely.
Well, Sally just judged so Sally's a good friend of Drone Launch Academy. She's come on as podcast guest, and she's
awesome.
Yeah, but she just judged a drone light show competition, I think. So that would be cool to have her on to talk about. So, All right, and then last but not least, we'll talk about this. What's a common pricing structure for progression shots?
So I guess that's me.
I would imagine, yeah.
Go to my webpage, projectswetdogdrones.com/pricing. That's my current structure. But basically, I charge a rate for X, a rate for Y, and a rate for Z. And if we're going to be making multiple shots over the course or multiple visits over the course of a month, that price comes down to make it more attractive. But the one thing that I like to do is I like to get people into that 18, depending on how long the job's going to take. If we're doing a year-long job, I want to get that contract up front, get that signed so that I'm locked in. So I know that I've got a consistent paycheck coming in month after month. But it can range on my list. It starts at $4.95 a month for a single visit. I think it's like 3 or 4. I'd have to look. I don't get those. I get more of a overtime thing, but it's there, and it depends on what the $4.95 package. And here, just bear with me, please.
Just look it up.
Please, yeah. It's been
Go for it.
yeah. So I've got
Get
what I
right.
call a coach. I got a coach class, business class, first class.
Nice.
Hey, well, why not? So I was
Yeah, I
wrong.
like it.
It's for the coach class. It's once per month at $3.95 for each flight, and that's going to get you 50 photos and a panorama, and that's it. Business class includes a video. That's not until we get into the first class where we even start talking about mapping, because then that's going to be $5.90. Actually, a not one-time non-recurring flight I've got for $6.95, and that does not include ground control points. That does not. That's just me doing a non-ortho rectified map. But everything is open to negotiation, and that's where the relationships come in. I'm not going to. It's
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's good. That's a good kind of general range. So I think we got a good. Cool.
There's a lot in the community on pricing too. You can search
yes,
the
yes,
community.
there's huge
tons. And I'll tell you, Michael Lilly is a guy that I met in Colorado, at the event, and it's been plugged in. But he is definitely, I think, seeing the value in the community.
And for what it's worth,
and started calling people out on that too, which I really liked. But yeah,
well, I pay for I pay for it, so I'm not there for a free ride. So if I think that people are missing out, I'm going to say something. And well, Dusty just said I do say something. I mean, we've got these live calls that we have multiple times a month, and I see the same 5 or 6 faces there every month. It's like, come on, people, you're paying money for this. You need to come here and get the information because this is awesome information. I still learn things. Don't let the white stripe and the beard fool you. Yes, I'm old, but there's still things to learn. So,
Love it.
And one of these days, David, you'll tell the story of the beard, but not tonight. It's late. I gotta go.
Michael got himself into dinner because he said, "Listen, you can't not have this beard at that dinner." And I said, "That's funny. Let's bring him." Anyways, all right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for sticking with us almost for a full 2 hours. Always love connecting with you guys, Derek, Michael, Dusty. See you all the time, but always good to see your face, even on vacation. But yeah, thanks everyone. We'll be sending out some more emails. I think we're gonna send out an email a day for 12 days about different workshops and ways you get plugged in with the community. So if you missed it tonight, you can go find a link on one of those emails on our email list to jump in the community. But strongly encourage you just to try it out for $1, see how you like it, and join in the fun so you can harass Michael, Lily, and take Derek's course and do a lot of great stuff on there. So would love to have you in there. But we'll leave you all with that. Everyone have a good night. Adios.